Hello, guys. Welcome to the news readings. I'm here to read news from different apps of different newspapers to give you an update for the news for the day. Let's get started. Let's straight go to the Economic Times app and see what is the news for today. Quick reads. Okay, so here's a big picture of Vijay Mallya. Vijay Mallya loses leave to appeal against extradition in UK Supreme Court. What is the news? Let's read. In a major setback, embattled liquor baron Vijay Mallya on Thursday lost his application seeking leave to appeal in the UK Supreme Court, weeks after the London High Court rejected his appeal against an extradition order to India on charges of fraud and money laundering related to unrecovered loans to his now defunct Kingfisher Airlines. The 64-year-old businessman had 14 days to file his application to seek permission to move the higher court on the High Court judgment from April 20, which dismissed his appeal against a Westminster Magistrates Court extradition order certified by the UK Home Secretary. The latest ruling will now go back for the recertification, and the process of extradition should be triggered within 28 days. The UK Crown Prosecution Service said Mallya's appeal to certify a point of law was rejected on all three counts of hearing oral submissions, grant a certificate on the questions as drafted, and grant permission to appeal to the Supreme Court. The Government of India's response to the appeal application was submitted earlier this week. The leave to appeal to the Supreme Court is on a point of law of general public importance, which, according to experts, is a very high threshold that is not often met. This is a good point. The High Court effectively ruled that even if the approach of Chief Magistrate was wrong, her decision was not wrong. It is therefore clear that Mallya now faces a significant hurdle in getting it to the Supreme Court, said Toby Cadman, co-founder of Jernica 37 International Justice Chambers and an extradition specialist. Okay, so that is the news in the Mallya case. As a further step in principle, Mallya can also apply to European Court of Human Rights to prevent his extradition on the basis that he will not receive a fair trial and that he will be detained in conditions that breach Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights, to which the UK is a signatory. The threshold for an ECHR appeal, that is the European Court of Human Rights appeal, is also extremely high, with very limited chance of success in Mallya's case, because he would also have to demonstrate that his arguments on those grounds before the UK courts have been previously rejected. Therefore, the dismissal of this appeal marks a major turning point for the Central Bureau of Investigation (CBI) and Enforcement Directorate case against the businessman, who has been on bail in the UK since his arrest on an extradition warrant in April 2017. The Supreme Court's ruling came hours after Mallya asked the Indian government to accept his offer to repay 100% of his loans due to the loan dues and close the case against him. Congratulations to the government for a COVID-19 relief package. I think that was COVID-19 relief package. They can print as much money as they want, but should a small contributor like me, who offers 100% payback of state-owned bank loans, be constantly ignored? He said in a tweet. Mallya, who is wanted in India over alleged fraud and money laundering charges amounting to estimate rupees 9,000 crore, added, "Please take my money unconditionally and close." India and the UK have an extradition treaty signed in 1992 and in force since November 1993. Two major extraditions have taken place under this treaty so far. Sameer Bhai Vinubhai Patel, who was sent back to India in 2016 to face trial in connection with his involvement in the post-Godhra riots of 2002, and more recently, alleged bookie Sanjeev Chawla, sent back in February this year to face match-fixing charges. So that is the news on Vijay Mallya. Now let's see. Lockdown: 72% of outstanding bank credit in red zones, says report. Mumbai: nearly 72% of outstanding bank credit and 62% of deposits are in the red zone districts, and any delay in restarting of economic activity could put pressure on the lender's balance sheet and asset quality, says the report. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has classified the country into three zones: green, orange, and red, along with containment zones within districts, based on COVID 19 cases, with varying levels of economic activity across the zones. As of December 2019, the overall bank credit stood at rupees 100.7 lakh crore, while deposits were at rupees 132.9 lakh crore. Of this, the outstanding bank credit stood at 72 lakh crore and deposits at rupees 82.5 lakh crore in the red zones, according to the report by Care Ratings. The share of bank credit and deposits continued to remain more or less similar in the red zones for the quarter ending 31st March 2020, it said. As a majority of both credit as well as deposits are in the red zone, any delay in resumption of economic activity could pressure the bank's balance sheets and impact credit costs, Care Rating said in the report. Within the red zone, the western region accounts for the largest share of the credit at 41%, followed by the south 24% and northern regions 23%, the rating agency said. Mumbai, with its two districts, accounts for 72% share of western region in the red zone, 30% share of overall red zone, and a 21% share of overall credit, it said. In the orange zone, the southern region accounts for the largest share of the outstanding credit at 43%, followed by the northern region at 25%. In the green zone, the southern region accounts for the largest share of credit at 31%, followed by the central region at 21% and western region at 17%. Similarly, in the red zone, the western region accounts for the largest share of deposits at 35%, followed by the southern region at 23% and northern region at 22%. The reporter further said that overall credit growth in the banking sector has continued to moderate due to the risk in rise aversion in the banking system and continued parking of excess liquidity with RBI. With no substantial improvement in the economy, coupled with the lockdown due to COVID-19 pandemic, the banking sector is expected to witness significant impact, the ratings agency said. The GNPA levels in the banking sector could increase owing to advertisers in the economic activities, it said. The extent of NPAs in the system could push banks to choose their credit portfolios with a higher degree of caution in the coming months, it added. So that was the news related to the bank credit in the red zones. Let's see on coronavirus, doubling time of cases slows down to 13.9 days. About 20 lakh tests done, says Health Minister. There's a big picture of Nirmala Sitharaman over here. Let's see. Miss the business bus? Okay, that's an ad. Center to take up affordable rental housing for migrants, urban poor. New Delhi, the center will launch a scheme under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana for migrant labor and the urban poor to build affordable rental houses and facilities for them. Speaking to the media here, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Thursday said that under the scheme, government-funded housing in different cities will be converted into affordable rental housing complexes. That's a good news, under the public-private partnership mode. Further, the government will also incentivize manufacturing units, industries, institutions, associations to develop affordable rental housing complexes on their private land and operate them. The center will also incentivize state agencies and central government organizations on the similar lines to develop affordable rental housing complexes and operate them. The government will issue detailed guidelines to give effect to the decision, Sitharaman said. The announcement is a part of 20 lakh crore economic package announced by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday. That was the news given by Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister. As new clusters emerge, WHO warns virus may be here to stay. Okay, an ad has popped up. New coronavirus clusters have surfaced around the world as nations struggle to balance reopening economies and preventing a second wave of infections, while a top global health official warned Wednesday that COVID-19 could be around for a long time. Authorities in the Chinese city of Wuhan, where the pandemic first began late last year, reportedly were pressing ahead Wednesday to test all 11 million residents for the virus within 10 days after a handful of new infections were found. In Lebanon, authorities reinstated a nationwide lockdown for 4 days beginning Wednesday night after a spike in reported infections and complaints from officials that social distancing rules were being ignored. A top WHO official, meanwhile, warned that it's possible the new coronavirus may be here to stay. The virus may never go away, Dr. Michael Ryan said in a press briefing Wednesday. Without a vaccine, he said, it could take years for the global population to build up sufficient levels of immunity. I think it's important to put this on the table, he said. The virus may become just another endemic virus in our communities, he said, noting that other previously novel diseases like HIV have never disappeared, but that effective treatments have been developed. Despite the risk that loosening restrictions could lead to infection spikes, European nations have been seeking to restart cross border travel, particularly as the summer holiday season looms for countries whose economies rely on tourists flocking to their beaches, museums, and historical sites. The European Union unveiled a plan to help citizens across 27 nations salvage their summer vacations after months of coronavirus lockdown and resurrect Europeans' badly battered tourism industry. The pandemic has prompted border closures across Europe and shut down the lifeline of cheap local flights. The European Union's executive arm, the European Commission, laid out its advice for lifting ID checks and closed borders, helping to get airlines, ferries, and bus running vehicles, ensuring the safety of passengers and crew, and preparing health measures for hotels. It's not clear whether EU nations will follow that advice, since they, not Brussels, have the final say over the health and security matters. Some European countries have sought bilateral agreements with the neighbors. Austria said its border with Germany would reopen fully on June 15th and the border checks would be reduced starting Friday. Chancellor Sebastian Kurz said Austria was aiming for similar agreements with Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and eastern neighbors as long as the infection figures allow. German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas said his country will lift a blanket warning against foreign travel for European destinations before other places, but didn't specify when. Germany's warning against all non essential tourist travels abroad runs until at least June 14th. So that was the news, that was the main news that WHO warns the virus may be here to stay. CM Uddhav Thackeray, 8 others elected unopposed to council. Let's see what this news is. Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray and 8 others were declared elected unopposed to the State Legislative Council on Thursday. Apart from Thackeray, Council Deputy Chairperson Neelam Ghore, Shiv Sena, he belongs to Shiv Sena party, 4 candidates of BJP, Rajit Singh, Mohit Patel, Gopi Chand Padalkar, Praveen Datke, and Ramesh Karad. NCP's Shashikant Shinde and Anmol Bitkari and Congress Rajesh Rathod were in the fray for the 9 seats which fell vacant on April 24th. All of them were elected unopposed, an official said. The result was officially announced on Thursday after the deadline for withdrawal of nominations ended at 3 p.m., the official said. The 288-member Legislative Assembly was the electoral college for biennial elections to the 9 seats. With this election, 59-year-old Thackeray, who is also president of Shiv Sena, makes his debut as a legislator. He was sworn in as Chief Minister on 28th November last year and required to become a member of either house of the legislature before 27th May. Okay, that was the news from Uddhav Thackeray, politics. Lockdown Day 51, Lifeline of Labourers. Let's read this. In the second segment of government's physical stimulus unveiling, the focus turns to India's migrants, small traders, street vendors, and unorganized sectors. We just now read that what Nirmala Sitharaman has planned for all the labourers. In other news, the railway has now cancelled all passenger trains till June 30. Special and Shramik trains will continue to run. Latest updates from today are toll in Delhi amounts to 115, tally climbs to 8470. Mumbai tolls rises to 596, case tally at 15,747. 22 new cases reported in Karnataka, total tally now 981. Kerala case count rises to 560. Rohini jail inmate tests positive, 1001. Police personnel tests positive in Maharashtra. Indore tally rises to 2238, toll at 96. 73 new cases reopened in Odisha. Toll number mounts to 611. Rajasthan tally reaches 4418. Death toll at 112. BSF personnel tests positive in Tripura. State now count 156. 7 new cases in Goa. Total cases in the world of coronavirus are 43,47,015 and the death toll being 2,97,197. And in India, total cases amount to 78,003 and the death toll as of today, that is 14th May 2020 on Tuesday, amounts to 2,549. COVID booster fine print. Free food grain to all migrant workers for next 2 months. Nationalism of ration cards. Rupees 5,000 crore credit facility for street vendors. Additional rupees 30,000 crore released to farmers. And rupees 2 lakh crore concessional credit boost for farmers. Credit linked subsidy scheme extended up to March 2021. Phase 2 of Vande Bharat to start from 16th May. Vande Bharat is that line of trains and to carry passengers from other countries to our country. India launches contact tracing app for geophones. Economy and business. Sensex plunges 886 points. Nifty ends below 9150. India's fiscal deficit may balloon to 7.9% in financial year 21. April WPI eases to 3.6%. Headline number suspended on inadequate data. BMW India initiates service campaign. News from global economy. UN forecasts world economy to shrink by 3.2%. Pandemic will cost global insurers $203 billion. Italy cabinet passes 65 billion euro package. Australia's job rate at 5-year high. Australia's jobless rate at 5-year high. French unemployment at 11-year low. Around the world, globally, tally tops 43 lakh. We just now read. United States tally rise to 13,89,000. Russia cases up to 2,50,000. Spain tally rises to 2,29,000. Okay, that was the news. So that was the top news from Economic Times. And now let's move on to the other app. So next app we have is BBC News. Or let's first of all see ANI News as I wrote in the thumbnail. Okay, latest from Asian International News. May the 14th, a group of soldiers were hit by an avalanche in North Sikkim area today. Search operation for a missing soldier is underway while others have been recovered, Indian Army sources. Second news from ANI app is fugitive liquor baron Vijay Mallya loses application in UK High Court. We just now read in Economic Times. This is the same news. Third news is FM Sitharaman begins today briefing on economic package. We just now read. Today's initiative focus on migrant workers, street vendors. We just now read. Migrant workers going back to their states being actively enrolled in Manregas. We just now read. Free food grains supply. We just now read. One nation, one ration card. We just now read. The government will launch an affordable rental housing scheme for migrant workers. We read it. Rupees 30,000 crore additional emergency working capital fund through NABARD. We just now read it. 447 new cases, COVID-19 cases and 2 deaths reported in Tamil Nadu today, taking total cases to 9674 in the state. So all the latest updates from ANI were read by us. Now let's go on to BBC News. Let's see what's going on around the world. Popular news. Okay, this is the first news. Trump says virus chief's warning not acceptable. Let's read this. US President Donald Trump has set a sobering warning by his top infectious diseases expert about lifting pandemic restrictions too soon was unacceptable. He accused Dr. Anthony Fauci of wanting to play all sides of the equation. In his testimony to lawmakers on Tuesday, the president said he was especially dissatisfied with Dr. Fauci's caution around reopening schools too quickly. COVID-19 has infected nearly 1.4 million people in the US and killed 84,000 while ravaging the economy. Okay, what did the US president say? Speaking on Wednesday at the White House, Mr. Trump took issue with Dr. Fauci's comments to a Senate hearing a day earlier about the risks to children of reopening and his assessment that the vaccine was unlikely before classes could begin this autumn. Look, he wants to play all sides of equation, Mr. Trump said of his top coronavirus experts' concerns. Okay, so that was the news. Second news is France resists idea of US getting vaccine first. France has said it would be unacceptable for French drug giant Sanofi to prioritize the US market if it develops a COVID 19 vaccine. The government was reacting to remarks by Sanofi CEO Paul Hudson, who said the US government has the right to largest pre-order because it's invested in taking the risk. Prime Minister Edouard Philippe said access of all was non-negotiable. Many labs worldwide are involved in research to find a COVID 19 vaccine. Vaccines usually take years to develop. For us, it would be unacceptable for there to be privileged access to such and such a country for financial reasons. Deputy Finance Minister Angus Pannier Renoucher told France Sud Radio. The Prime Minister later tweeted that a vaccine should be for the benefit of everyone worldwide. President Emmanuel Macron said the recent efforts prove that a vaccine should not be subjected to market forces. The Elise Palace said he is due to meet top Sanofi officials next week. Okay, the third news here is Damon breaks Irish lockdown cover with radio call. Not important. China relocates villagers living in 800-meter high cliffs in anti-poverty drive. They used to call an 800-meter high cliff home, but dozens of villagers in China, Sichuan province, have now been relocated to an urban housing estate. A tourist village became famous after photos emerged showing adults and children precariously scaling the cliff using just rattan ladders. Around 84 households have now been moved into newly built flats as part of local poverty elevation campaign. Okay, so China has shifted them. Five of the world's other looming crises. What are the other looming crises? Perhaps, understandably, the COVID 19 pandemic has forced many other international stories off the news agenda. It is global, it is deadly, and it is multifaceted, raising all sorts of questions, not just about how we respond to the initial crisis, but about the way we organize our societies and the way we run our affairs. Some major international problems have been pushed to the sidelines since the outbreak of crisis, and it may now be too late to deal with them. Others have been made much more intractable, and some governments are seeking to use the distraction of COVID 19 pandemic to pursue long-held ambitions. Here are the five issues that we should be keeping an eye on in the weeks and months ahead. A renewed nuclear arms race. Okay. Iran nuclear deal, dead or just dying? Can the Jewish settlement issue be resolved? UK Europe trade talks, a simple guide. So these were the five other crisis that the people are talking about. And the sixth news from BBC News is scientists find way to fight coral bleaching. Seventh news is things the US has got right and got wrong. Should we read this? Okay, let's read this last one from the BBC News. Coronavirus response. Things the US has got right and got wrong. It's been 2 months since the US declared a national emergency over the coronavirus outbreak. The death toll from COVID 19 now stands more than 83,000, and tens of millions of Americans are out of work. There has been a robust ongoing debate over whether the US was adequately prepared for a pandemic and if the proper steps were taken as the virus began to appear on American soil. Ever since mid March, however, most government officials have acknowledged that the magnitude of the crisis required a response of enormous scope. The unprecedented lockdowns imposed in much of the countries were designated to slow the spread of virus, prevent the nation's healthcare system from being overwhelmed by the time the further preparations and Project American particularly at risk of serious health and complications. This is how some of those efforts have succeeded and failed. Success, a flattened curve somewhat. First, the good news, the patchwork of shutdowns and social distancing across almost every US state has succeeded in stopping the exponential spread of the virus. In hard-hit states like New York, Michigan, and Louisiana, the pandemic growth curve has been downward. What was once a runaway crisis in these hotspots has been controlled. Okay, and what are the bad news? If we read, mistakes, overhyped treatments. For weeks, Trump, echoed by many prominent conservative commentators, touted the potential medical benefits of anti-malarial drug chloroquine. Some healthcare facilities and providers rushed to stock up on supplies, leading to widespread shortages. In one nursing home in Texas, patients were administered the drug without family consent, and county public health officials raced to try to head off an outbreak in their jurisdiction. Further studies have since indicated that the drug is ineffective at best, however, and could lead to life threatening complications for some who use it. That's really bad. So, these are some things that the US got right and US got wrong. Explosive found in German elite soldier's home is also a news on BBC News. And the 10th news is Republicans snatch rare prize of California seat. So that was all from BBC News. Now let's move on to Hindustan Times. And I guess most of the news will be similar to that which we just now read. US versus China over COVID-19 goes up a notch ahead of WHO meet. Round 2 over Taiwan. India highlights need of peace and tranquility on border with China following clashes. The pandemic is taking a toll on mental health. Malya extradition in home stretch after appeal blocked. Countdown starts. Free food grain supply to 8 crore migrants for next 2 months. Nirmala Sitharaman said. No sixes in last 10. Yuvraj Singh slams Greg Chappell's statement. Maharashtra sees 1602 new cases. We read that Kerala's worst fears come true with Gulf returnees driving a big spike in COVID-19 cases. Hygiene, masking, distancing, Dr. Naresh Trihan's mantra to fight coronavirus. Nirav Modi cites rats, insects in Mumbai jail to avoid extradition. On the record, Justice Abhay Thipse retired on advising Nirav Modi. The Indian university from where Google and Microsoft hire. Oh, this is just an ad. No, this is not an ad, this is the news. Okay, so most of the news again is the same. Hygiene, masking, India highlights needs for peace and tranquility. We have read that. Let's see if there is any news from entertainment industry. This is Madhurima Tulli, by the way. Madhurima Tulli says she was bullied in school for her clothes and poor English, and now she's a big star. Goldie says he put film production on hold after the Sonali's illness. Farhan gives 1,000 PPE kits to cops. Let's protect our frontline warriors, he says. That's good. Ishan reveals if he was daunting to romance Tabu in a suitable boy. Okay. That was the news from entertainment. There's no such news that needs to be read. Cricket, there's no cricket happening, but let's see. IPL prioritizes quick quality of cricket. BBL has lost its way, Watson says. Okay, education. Is there any news in education? DRDO recruitment to 2020. 167 vaccines of scientist B on offer. Check details. So that was the news from Hindustan Times. Most of that we have already read. Let's see the Hindu. So the tracker of the Hindu. Confirmed cases 81743. Total deaths 2646. As you know, the numbers are varying because nobody has the exact count. An open letter from scientists across the globe calling for use of fabric masks to prevent COVID-19. India-China troop face-offs not correlated, Army Chief. UK High Court rejects Vijay Mallya's plea for permission to move to Supreme Court. Government releases truncated April WPI inflation data. Reports 10.12% deflation in fuel power basket. Chaos at Bengaluru City Railway Station over mandatory institutional quarantine. COVID-19, Bihar to reimburse train fare, provide financial assistance if inmates complete quarantine. Regular train tickets cancelled till Jan 30, Shramik specials to continue. No lockdowns on creativity, Kerala musicians come out with productions reflecting the times. LPU, okay, that is an advertisement. Coronavirus lockdown, Japan lifts state of emergency in most regions. Please seek declaration of amount received spent by PM Cares Fund. That was the top news from the Hindu. And again, most of the news we have read. So let's cover Times of India now. Let's see what is the top news. Fresh announcements on economy to help farmers. We have read that. Second tranche of government's 20 lakh crore. We have read that. 5,000 crore facility. We have read that. Swadeshi is not inward looking. Swadeshi is more about self-confidence. Piyush Goyal is saying. That's right. Coronavirus roundup. Developments in India and rest of the world. Partial work from home. maybe the new normal post COVID 19. Akshay donates wristbands to Mumbai police, whereas Farhan has donated the PPE kits. Salman Khan calls out an imposter. So as you can see, we have read the maximum news. Let's see the trending section on TOI. Lockdown 4.0 in new form with new rules per PM Narendra Modi. Yeah, we've read pretty much everything that is over here. So have we covered all the news? We can see the last newspaper, that is New York Times. News about New York, some people like to read it. With dire virus warning, whistleblower pushes urgent changes. What's that? Dr. Rick Bright, who was ousted from top science role in the administration, is testifying before the House. Watch it live. We don't have the time to watch it live, neither we have the copyright. Global fighting the virus brings unintended consequences, including a mental illness crisis. French drug maker says US would get vaccine first and Paris is outraged. Billions of children could die of preventable diseases as health services are overtaxed. Economy, job losses have hit poor Americans the hardest, the Fed says. Delta to retire the Boeing 777, the plane that helped it become global. The digital news site Quartz is cutting staff by 40%. New York, 100 children in New York have a rare illness tied to the virus. The mayor criticized a video showing the arrest of women without a face mask. The Queen's dinner has transformed into a pop-up drive-in. FBI agents seize Richard Burr's phone in inquiry into stock sales. The move is a major escalation in the investigation into a center sale of stocks that came as President Trump and others played down the virus threat. These were the headlines. A rolling shock as job losses mount even with reopenings. Thousands are headed to Alaska's fishing towns, so is the virus. So there were some headlines from the New York Times. That probably brings us to the end of our news reading session today. That was the news reading for 14th May, Tuesday, 2020. If you like the video, you know what to do. Thank you so much, and we shall see you in another video.